Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into one of the most talked about books in trading, Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas.
A classic for sure.
It really is. So we'll be pulling out the juiciest bits, those key insights, and we'll see if we can unlock the secrets to consistent trading success. You ever have those trades just felt effortless?
Oh, absolutely. We all have, right?
Yeah, like you're in sync with the market, everything's slow motion, and you're just nailing it. And then, poof, it's gone.
It can be so frustrating. Mark Douglas actually talks about those moments in the book.
Yeah.
He says those are glimpses into the trader's mindset he's describing.
So it's not about some secret strategy or indicator?
Not quite. He says it's not about the what, but the how. It's the mindset that matters, the way we think about trading, not just the tools we use.
Interesting. He makes this comparison to happiness, saying that, like trading success, it's an internal state. But how can you just be a consistent trader? I mean, don't you have to try?
That's the thing. He says that trying too hard actually creates resistance. Yeah, it's like forcing a square peg into a round hole. The more you struggle, the harder it gets.
Oh, I totally get that. Like when I try to put together furniture, it never ends well.
Exactly. The best trades, they often feel effortless, like you're just flowing with the market. But when you start forcing it, that's when the mistakes happen.
Makes sense. So then what's causing all this resistance, this struggle in our trading?
Douglas would say it's fear, plain and simple. Fear of being wrong, fear of losing money, fear of missing out. And all that fear, well, it messes with our heads.
It's like in those horror movies where the character makes a dumb decision because they are terrified.
Yeah, like running into the dark basement alone. It never ends well. Our fear-driven decisions in trading, well, they usually lead to the exact outcome we're trying to avoid.
So how do those pro traders, the ones who consistently make money, how do they handle this fear? Are they just fearless?
Not necessarily. It's more about how they view risk. Douglas suggests they don't see market events as threats.
So they acknowledge the risk, but don't let it paralyze them.
Exactly. To them, market ups and downs are just opportunities, not something to be feared. This lets them stay cool under pressure.
It's like those optical illusions. Same image, but two totally different ways to see it.
That's a great way to put it. And Douglas, he actually tells this story about a dad who's scared of snakes, while his daughter is totally fascinated. The point is, our fears aren't always based on reality.
So we're projecting our own fears onto the market when the market doesn't really care.
Right. And this leads to another key idea from Douglas. He says, our mindset is like software code.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Just a few lines of bad code, meaning our wrong beliefs about trading can mess up the entire system.
So our limiting beliefs are the bugs in our trading system.
Precisely. And to achieve that consistency, we need to, find those faulty lines of code, those beliefs that are holding us back, and replace them.
But is it enough to just know that intellectually?
Well, there's the catch. Knowing something isn't the same as really believing it deep down.
You can read all the books, but still, panic when a trade goes red.
That's why traders struggle even when they understand the theory. They haven't truly internalized it, so their emotions take over.
So how do we bridge that gap between knowing and believing?
That's what we'll explore next by looking at one of Douglas's most powerful concepts, thinking in terms of probabilities and edges.
Probabilities and edges. All right, I'm ready to dive in. Okay, so probabilities and edges. How does that help us bridge that gap between, knowing and believing?
Well, imagine flipping a coin. Can you predict whether it'll be heads or tails on any given flip?
No, pure chance, right? 50-50.
Yeah, exactly. But what if you flip that coin 1,000 times?
Well, the results would probably be pretty close to 50% heads, 50% tails, law of averages, right?
Precisely. Now, obviously, trading isn't as simple as flipping a coin, but the principle of probability still applies.
Okay, but the markets are way more complex. There are so many factors involved. How can you even talk about probabilities in that kind of environment?
That's where edges come in. See, pro traders, they don't try to predict every single market move.
So they're not trying to be right all the time.
No, they're looking for patterns and developing strategies that give them a higher probability of winning over time. Those strategies, those are their edges.
So an edge is basically a system that tilts the odds in your favor, even if it doesn't guarantee a win every single time.
Exactly. It's about understanding that losses are going to happen, even with a good strategy.
Kind of like playing blackjack, right? You can know the odds, play perfectly, and still lose some hands.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to accepting risk. Even with an edge, losing trades are part of the game. The key is not to freak out when they happen.
Not letting those losses trigger the fear that throws you off track.
Right. It's about shifting your focus. It's not about being right on every single trade. It's about consistently making decisions with a higher probability of winning over the long run.
Okay, so it's about thinking in terms of probabilities, not guarantees. But if we're not focused on winning or losing individual trades, what are we focused on? How do you even define success in this framework?
It's about executing your strategy consistently, regardless of whether you win or lose on that particular trade. It's about managing your risk, not trying to eliminate it altogether. And I think it's about being fully present in each moment, making decisions based on the market conditions, not your emotions.
Wow, it almost sounds like a meditation exercise, just being in the moment with the market without all of the emotional baggage.
You're getting it, and that's what's so powerful about this mindset shift. It takes away that internal struggle, the fear of losing, the pressure to be right. You can simply observe the market and act accordingly, like a scientist in a lab.
So how do you actually get to that point? This sounds like a pretty radical departure from how most people think about trading.
It takes effort, no doubt.
Yeah.
Douglas really emphasizes the importance of identifying and challenging those beliefs that are holding us back. Remember that software code analogy?
Yeah, the idea that our beliefs are like lines of code that can either help or hinder our trading.
We need to find the beliefs, the lines of code that are causing the errors, and rewrite them.
So we're debugging our own minds.
Exactly. And it's not a one-time fix. It's an ongoing process. Being aware of your thoughts and making adjustments as you go, like building a new mental muscle.
So like with any new skill, it takes practice, consistent effort to master it.
You got it. With practice, you can reprogram your mind to think like a pro trader, to see risk as part of the game, to make decisions based on probabilities, not on your gut feeling.
This all makes sense, but there's one thing I'm still struggling with. If these pro traders don't see market events as threats, does that mean they're just emotionless robots? Where's the passion, the excitement in that?
It's a great question, and it gets to the core of what Douglas is saying about emotions. It's not about having no emotions. It's about, mastering them.
Okay, so not being like Spock, completely logical, no feelings.
Exactly. They still feel the excitement of a win, the disappointment of a loss. It's just they don't let those emotions control their actions.
I see, so they feel it, but don't react impulsively because of it.
Right. Think about it. Fear and excitement, physically, they can feel very similar, heart racing, adrenaline pumping.
So it's not about the feeling itself, but what we do with it, how we interpret it.
Yeah. It's the same physical sensation, but a different label. A pro trader might feel that excitement, but they don't automatically think, oh, this is a guaranteed win.
So they're able to step back from the feeling and not get carried away by it.
Exactly. Observe it, acknowledge it, and then let it go. They're in control, not their emotions.
It's like they've got this internal thermostat, keeping them in that zone of optimal performance no matter what the market throws at them.
That's a great way to put it. And one of the keys to this mastery is detachment from the outcome. Remember, it's a probabilities game.
So even if I have a losing trade, it doesn't mean I'm a bad trader or that my whole strategy is wrong.
Right. It's just one data point, part of the bigger picture.
This detachment makes it easier to learn from both wins and losses without getting too emotional.
Exactly. You can be more objective. It's like being a scientist, observing your own trading, gathering data, refining your approach based on what you see, not on how you feel.
That makes a lot of sense. So to wrap up our deep dive into trading in the zone, it's not about finding that one perfect system or getting rid of all risk. It's about building a mindset that allows you to handle all the ups and downs, to execute your strategy consistently without letting fear or greed get in the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's about becoming the kind of trader who can weather the storm, make clear-headed decisions, and ultimately come out ahead.
This has been such a fascinating exploration of Douglas's work. I think we've really uncovered some powerful insights here, stuff that can really make a difference in how we approach trading.
Absolutely. And for anyone who wants to dive deeper into this, highly recommend, actually reading Trading in the Zone. There's a lot more to discover there.
And remember, folks, consistent trading success, it starts not with a new indicator, but with a new mindset. So until next time, happy trading.
Thank you.